You're listening to the Monday Night Community Show with Daniel on BRFM.
This is the Daniel Monday Night Community Show on demand through YouTube. Thank you very much for choosing to listen to us through this method. If you'd like to keep up to date with when I add new interviews, then subscribe to this channel. We're talking to Ian Goodwin from the Sheppey Coastguard, all part of the regular slot I do with Ian and the Coastguard. Ian, as always, we normally start off with a little bit of an overview.
Yeah, that old chestnut, the Maritime and Coastguard Agency, which is responsible for developing, promoting and enforcing high standards of maritime safety, minimising loss of life amongst seafarers and coastal users, and responding to maritime emergencies 24 hours a day. We're minimising the risk of pollution of the marine environment from ships, and where pollution occurs, minimising the impact of UK's interests. That's exactly what the Maritime and Coastguard Agency does, and it fulfils its duty. It's placed on by the Secretary of State insofar as his functions include responding to maritime and coastal emergencies, excluding the investigation of accidents. And the Maritime and Coastguard Agency's response to emergencies is undertaken by Her Majesty's Coastguard, which I form part of, which is the authority responsible for the initiation and coordination of civil maritime search and rescue within the UK search and rescue region. And this includes the mobilisation, organisation and tasking of adequate resources to respond to persons either in distress at sea or those in inland waters. And as I've already pointed out, there's something like 10,000 miles of coastline in the country, and the actual maritime search and rescue region extends 1,000 nautical miles by 1,000 nautical miles into the Atlantic Ocean, 1 million square nautical miles. And as the search and rescue coordinator, Her Majesty's Coastguard is responsible for requesting and tasking its own search and rescue assets and those made available by other emergency services, such as the Royal National Lifeboat Institution. And close liaison is maintained with Aeronautical Rescue Coordination Centre at RAF Kinloss and other emergency services and rescue organisations, including adjacent foreign search and rescue organisation. And in essence, Her Majesty's Coastguard is organised into 9 search and rescue areas, where each area contains a pair of maritime rescue coordination centres, and they share a common command and control and communication system. And in essence, each of these areas divided up into sectors, and we're in the North Kent sector, and each sector contains 2 or more Coastguard rescue teams. In the sector I'm in, North Kent sector, that consists of Medway, Sheppey, which is what I'm part of, and Herne Bay. And the organisation is based upon a continuous communication watch on VHS, medium frequency and digital selected calling, radio and satellite communication. And as I say, it extends quite extensively across the world.
Ian, I think we're next going to do a little bit about what the Coastguard actually do.
Yeah, the Coastguard Rescue Service, which is, I have to keep emphasising here, is Her Majesty's Coastguard, and we are the only rescue services under the auspices of Her Majesty, is an organisation of certain Coastguard rescue teams, as I've already mentioned, which are situated at strategic locations around the coast, which are equipped to deal with incidents appropriate to the risks associated with local coastal terrain and local shoreline activities. So at Her Majesty's Coastguard Sheppey, we are very much associated with cliffs, muds, search and fast water rescue, and we're one of the few teams that has such a broad brush of competencies, and the proof is always in the pudding, and we do actually get tasked to quite a range of all of those type of activities over the course of 12 months. We also have mud and cliff capability, and we are all volunteers as well. We actually do this, and all of us have got particular roles and jobs, but we do fit it in, and we do undertake training during the month, and normally we meet every Thursday night to train, and we also go out and do patrols during the weekends.
I think we're next going to do some safety advice.
Now, mistletoe and wine is amongst us soon. People may be having quite a bit to drink, and I just wanted to make sure people are aware of the dangers of walking along the cliffs and getting too close to cliffs. It might seem obvious, but the rescue team, the Sheppey Coastguard rescue team, are regularly summoned to the aid of persons and animals who have fallen and are often injured. Now, Her Majesty's Coastguard Sheppey are trained and equipped to extricate the casualties as safely as possible for medical treatment, and our role also includes the recovery of those who have not survived their fall. And the perils of soft mud and quicksand around Sheppey may be less obvious to the unwary, but these can just be as deadly. And again, our team has specialised equipment and training for freeing casualties and bringing them safely to firm ground. So my safety message out there is, as the festive season gets upon us, be very, very careful indeed walking along the cliffs, and be careful of walking along because of the dangers of mud and getting cut off by the tides.
It's going to do our incidents that the Coast Guard have covered since Ian was last on air.
Yeah, we didn't have too many. I mean, we've only actually had about 3 I've recorded. One was at the end of September, which occurred at 12:30 in the evening one Sunday. We were tasked to assist Kent Police regarding a male despondent who was covered in tinsel for some reason, threatening to jump off the Sheppey crossing. Fortunately, the police apprehended the male. We were then called to an incident where 2 people who weren't local, and this occurred let me just think where this one occurred. This occurred, I think it was on the 15th of October, and they were just basically told that they could get to Warden Point by just walking along the seafront, and of course they got lost. They got lost and they got virtually trapped on the cliffs, and they had to be extricated by helicopter. And so that was a particularly difficult rescue. And again, it's all about the dangers of going off and in the mud and on cliffs. And the other one we had was Saturday the 1st of November, and it was a dog called Prancer, and I don't know. And we were tasked to a quarry to the reel of the Medway City Estate, where the dog had fallen over the edge of the quarry and had landed in a ledge about 10 to 14 metres from the top. And we acted with Sheppey and Medway Coastguard teams, and we proceeded to deploy a rope rescue equipment and lowered one of the technicians with an animal rescue bag. Now, the access to the site of the fall was hampered by thick undergrowth, and a brief clearance of the site had to be carried out whilst the technician was preparing his equipment. The dog was recovered, and the technician, as I say, and the dog, Prancer, were lowered the remaining 15 metres to the base of the quarry wall, where the owners and Medway officers were waiting. And as my colleague James Crane commented, Her Majesty's Coastguard's primary responsibility is the saving of human life. But in these circumstances, the team carried out a cliff rescue deployment to prevent a member of public from attempting a rescue of a domestic animal and putting their life in danger. So those are basically the incidents so far, Daniel.
And I think we're next going to do the answer to our little brain teaser.
Yeah, well, I did have an answer here, but I think actually James and Neville's is a more succinct answer. Anyway, this is my answer. When does a sailboat have right of way? Generally, a sailboat under sail has right of way over a power vessel, but practical consideration comes into play. If the power vessel is a large ship operating in a narrow channel and is restricted in its movement by its underwater depth, and the sailboat is not, the sailboat loses the right of way. If the power vessel cannot reasonably be expected to see or manoeuvre around the sailboat loses the right of way. Big ships take huge distances to turn. Visibility from the bridge of a big ship doesn't exist in an area right around the ship, so caution must be used in a sailboat. Now, Cliff Seagull, you actually said, I'm not sure of when a sail vessel does have right of way, but I know they have to keep clear of a vessel showing a vertically mounted diamond between two balls. Absolutely correct. Bob, a sailboat has right of way over a motorboat. Yes, that is correct. Charlotte, hi Daniel and Ian, doesn't a sailboat always have right of way? Didn't think it will stop easily. That's also correct. But I think you can get out the baubles and the holly and whatever you and blow your trumpet, Neville and James, because this is an excellent and succinct answer. A sailboat has right of way over every motor-driven vessel except those which are not under command and those which are restricted in their ability to manoeuvre. And a sailboat will lose its rights if it uses its own engine. Absolutely spot on and to the point, that is. So thank you very much, Danny. I know you've got another guest waiting in the wings, but I'd like to just thank you, and just again to reiterate, over 800 interviews in 8 years, and it is a community radio show. I know you don't get paid for all of this. You do get up here every Monday night without fail and do a really good job for the local community, and I think you should be really congratulated for doing that. So well done. And there's more of us on here, so well done for that, and I look forward to coming back in the new year.
Oh, thank you, Ian. Thanks.